Welcome back, guys, to the second part. We ended in a really juicy and nice place, and that's on purpose, so you can wait for the part 2 where we are going to go a little deep into this idea of being seen, but also in the main difference between what we say it's being against forcing. And we also talk about that in many other podcasts where we are saying, okay, faith, mind, and trust in the universe and all of that. But I think here we can go a step further in even when it comes to dating itself and to meeting people, why it's so important to develop first the sense of security. So it comes back to what we were talking before, security versus insecurity. And then from this place of feeling secure, how being and not forcing is actually what allows you to go through life and go through relationships in a way that it's not even about results anymore. So I'm not going to say it delivers you the results, but being is actually what gets you to the things that you always wanted. And sometimes you didn't even know about it. But yeah, that's me already explaining something without giving the mic to Martin, and you can just say it's bullshit. So yeah,
bullshit. All right, super quick before we dive into today's content. If you are looking to become a truly high-value man, if you want to become the best version of yourself as a man, the highest potential you can possibly reach in this human form, and you also want to have amazing relationships with other people, with women in particular, if you want to learn how to have thriving, healthy, passionate, deeply fulfilling relationships, then don't forget to subscribe below this video, hit the notification bell so that whenever we post a new video, you will directly be notified. And also like this content if you enjoy it, right? If this resonates with you. And then don't forget to leave a comment, anything that you find valuable, anything you want to share from your own personal experience, post it below the video, and I'll be sure to check it out and respond to you. And then lastly, we do have an exclusive Facebook group, which is also linked somewhere below this video. Go check it out, join the Facebook group. I'll be doing exclusive live calls on there where I'll be sharing some of the most transformational tools that have helped me on my journey, that have helped Leo on his journey, and obviously a lot more stuff that I'll be discovering that I'll be sharing with you only inside the Facebook group. So without further ado, enjoy, and I'll see you there. Peace. I don't believe in this whole being shit. Well, yeah, it comes back to what you described earlier about in the first part of the video, like where we try to control so many things, right? And looking at why we even do control them. And what I said before too was we're born into this world, and then our parents, and this relates back to the attachment styles, they can't fully meet our needs exactly. We need them met as a child. So inevitably, there will be the conditioning from society and also traumatic events for us. And this could just be like a baby that's like, we can't go through life without trauma. Like a baby being weaned off the breast, like not giving it any more milk, means it's going to be a traumatic experience because the baby doesn't understand why. You can't explain to the baby why it's not getting any more milk, right? So that's a tiny traumatic event. And then there's other things like you can't express anger, otherwise you get punished, right? So there's all these things that we then carry into adulthood. And then we look for solutions to get away from the discomfort of these things that we've pushed away, because they keep bubbling up, and we notice that as maybe sadness, as fear, as anger in our body. And then we try to find solutions. So we say, oh, it's the girl, oh, it's this, oh, it's the career, it's the money, right? And we find all these explanations also based on our conditioning, our conditioned mind. So it can never truly be the solution that we're looking for. And the main thing then is that we're shown too in society is that the way to get things is we have to put in the work. We have to work really hard. We have to put our heads down and just push through until we fucking get there. And that's the way to get the things we want. Now, with everything that we just said, like, can you really get the things that you want if you just push through? Because if your gauge, if your measuring stick for success is already flawed because it's conditioned, so it can never really lead you, like it's your compass, right? If on your compass you have true north at the top, but if your compass is flawed and it shows true north like down here or to the left here or to the right, then you're going to go in the wrong direction ultimately. I mean, there's no real wrong direction, but it's not going to lead you where you really want to go. So forcing itself can never truly get us to where we want to go, because it's a conditioned place that the forcing is coming from, which means inevitably we're dealing with symptoms, with effects, and not the root cause of the problem. And that's why we always emphasize meditation, awareness. That means we can see things more clearly. We can actually peek behind the curtain of our conditioning, and we can see how it all got to be the way that it is now, and how that inspired us or motivates us to pursue all these things in the external world, rather than coming back to the okayness, the peace, the love, the joy that's already accessible to us here in this moment, only if we're actually here in this moment. We're not going to get it in the future. So the first thing is to be clear on what do we really want, which is a question most of us can't even answer. If we ask them, then they would say, oh, I want to have a lot of money. And what they really mean is like, I want to have freedom. Why do we want to have freedom, right? So we have to like go down the rabbit hole. Like, what do you really want? And is what you're doing right now actually going to get you there? And we all have to sit with this question, right? Like actually sit down and be like, yeah, I've never really questioned that, because there's so much that we're always doing. It never stops. Our days are packed with doing. So how can there ever be a doubt coming in about maybe it's not the doing that's going to help us get there?
And that's why the forcing is also not the way to achieve things, because you're just forcing, doing, repeating, and going to the same places.
Yes.
But can you force yourself to be? No, you can't also force yourself to be. And that's also one of the topics that we bring quite a lot, which is like this whole spiritual things that a lot of people go through with this mindset they bring also to the non-spiritual way of dealing with things, which is forcing themselves to get somewhere, forcing themselves to achieve something based on this spirituality. But I want to do a step back here and go back to our main questions that we were talking about. So does dating a 10 changes or improves your self-esteem? I think it was something like that. Don't remember the proper sentence that we describe it. But this brings me to a quote in Brazil that was quite popular back in the days, where it's like, for every hot girl that someone wants, there is a guy tired of fucking her. That was the quote, so don't cancel me for this quote. I didn't create that, but that was the quote, right? And why this quote is the perfect example to answer this question. Because if you are operating from this specific system where you need to get these specific things to get the self-esteem, to get the confidence, to get this feeling of being worth, when you do get there, what you see the flaws of the person. You see that she's not as she looked in your mind, like Martin said in the first part. If you didn't watch, go back there. Where the more he started developing this secure attachment style, the more he was able to see the flaws of other people. And why that's important? Because this idea of a 10, this idea of a girl, of a skill, of a pickup level, of a amount of girls that you can sleep with, that is going to give you that specific thing, is just an illusion of the mind. It's just an illusion, because you get there and then you become this tired guy. The guy that looks at the girl that everyone else wants and he's like, she's like this, she's like that. When she wakes up without makeup, she's not like, because you created a projection into something that you need to get to deal with this inner problem that you have. So you're never going to fix that by going towards this specific goal. And that's why guys that are in pickup, super into pickup, they never get there, because they always see, oh, there's a hotter girl. Oh, there's more girls there. Oh, but what if I can have yacht parties with 100 OnlyFans model and I can post that on Instagram so everyone knows that I'm the man. but what about this and what about that and what about Dan Bilzerian and all of that. So a bunch of things keep coming up, and you never get there. You just never get there because you were looking for something that doesn't exist in this way. It does exist in another way, but not in this way.
Yeah, it's like this carrot on a stick analogy that I gave in another video, where it's like you dangle the carrot in front of you and you just keep running, and the carrot will always be there dangling right in front because it's attached to your back. So wherever you go, the carrot is going to go. So it will always be just out of reach, or the grass will always be greener on the other side, because you slap these labels on everything. Like, that's your own projections of your own stuff, and you ascribe that to the girl, let's say. And I want to make a correction, because what I said in the previous video was not necessarily you see more flaws, you see more clearly. So you actually, the less you judge yourself, the less you see flaws in other people. You recognize the perfection in them. But there's a big difference between seeing the perfection, the inherent perfection in someone, and putting them on a pedestal, which has nothing to do with their inherent perfection. That's, again, your own conditioning. You're just slapping labels onto it and creating this fantasy for yourself. Has nothing to do with seeing clearly. Seeing clearly means you see things for what they are. So you see a 10 as a girl who has her own like mental issues, who's also taking a shit in the toilet once a day, or maybe every other day. I don't know if she has problems with her intestines. But it's like she's a real human being, you know? She has her own shit going on. She's not this like idealized perfect version. And that's just what the mind does. It creates these fantasies for us that keep us trapped ultimately. We create our own illusions in all these different ways, in the money, in the career, in the girl, in this thing, right? And we say, this is it. This is going to get us to the real fulfillment. Mm-hmm. But it's always our carrot on the stick just dangling in front of us, and we're never going to get there because it was already an illusion from the moment we created it.
Mm-hmm. And so that means that when you are secure, you can see other people's insecurity and understand them and be okay with that because you are okay with your own insecurities.
Yeah.
And then when guys say, back in the days, there was like this way of picking up 10s, is that you need to treat them like 7s or 8s. You know, it's like forcing again. But now let's come back here to what we just said, that when you are secure, you can see clearly, and you can also see other people's insecurity, and you can see that it's just a girl. It's just your friend. It's just your boss. And then you are communicating from a different angle and not forcing anymore. Oh, I'm going to say a bunch of this nagging shit to bring this girl lower. No, you meet her in the same level that you meet everyone else. Because you don't need this unbalance anymore.
Yeah, you're coming back to our core human condition. Like, this is just what being human entails. Like, all these things, right? And if you keep projecting these fantasies, like, that's really how I see it now. It's kind of like you take everything that you don't like and that you do want in a woman to take the pain away, and you just create this perfect, and you just put it over the person. And then it's like put on top of them, right? And then you just try to go and pursue that. And then it doesn't work out, then you go to the next thing. But you can never really see them as the human being that they are. And then if you have to lower their perception, it's like you create this, you blow it so out of proportion, this fantasy of yours. And then you'd be like, oh, let me paddle back a little bit. Like, this was maybe too much, right? But it's still, you're still operating in the same bubble of fantasy ultimately. Mm-hmm. Like, it's still all imagined and illusion and your own stuff that you're projecting onto it. The problem is, it's not a real problem. It's just that you're not conscious of it, and that's why it creates suffering for you right now. Mm-hmm. So if you want to take out the suffering, you just have to become aware of it. You become conscious of it. And in understanding it, you're going to stop doing it. And what then happens is you can actually see the woman as, oh, she's an actual woman. And you start looking for different things, not just the stuff that you projected onto her. You start to notice, oh, so this looks like some kind of red flag here. Like, I don't know if I should... Oh, this is interesting. Before then, if you're just projecting all the stuff onto her and you maybe just want to sleep with the woman because that's kind of what gives you the idea of, I'm a valuable man now, you don't care about the red flag. You don't even notice it. It just goes right past your awareness. So the more conscious you become, the more aware you become, the more you can actually see things for what they are. You can see another human being for what it is. You stop taking all the stuff that's internal and throwing it out there onto the world, coloring everything with your own unresolved stuff, unintegrated stuff.
And then it comes full circle. Guys, like it's so powerful. If you can understand this, it's like we are giving you free content that we should be charging a lot of money. But it comes full circle to what we said in one of the first few episodes, where it's like you meet someone from this place where everyone can experience love. And I remember hearing that in like meditations as I attune to the quality of love that is present in everyone or something like this. And I'll be like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. This doesn't make sense. But you can understand that here, when we are in this secure place and we meet someone, or we are meeting someone seeing clearly the other person in front of us, that's when all this extra baggage of, oh, that's her political view, or that's like this, or that like that, you have a place to meet. You have a place to fully meet someone that goes beyond the words. And that's when you can actually achieve this realm of meeting people and attuning to this quality that is present in everyone, in every single one of us. Isn't that amazing that you go out in the street and you can talk to someone, but from this place that is not judging, from this place that is not analyzing, from this place that is not, am I looking cool in front of my friends? Is other people seeing me talking to this person? Oh, is it okay to talk to her here? Is it okay to talk to her there? All of that just goes away, because you know that the thing that you want is the same thing that everyone wants in this fucking planet. And then I was just going to say that you can use the PayPal link below and you can donate. You can donate some money to that.
Yeah, the thing that came up for me was the more we stay on the surface level, the more we focus on the things that seem to make us unique and individual from everything else, the more alone we're going to feel. The more at not peace we're going to feel. The more uncomfortable, the more not okay we feel in ourselves. Because we really feel we're so separate from everything else when we stay at the surface. That's why we have to go deeper to see there is something that connects all of us all the time. And when we connect to that, then it doesn't matter how much money you make, like what you look external. Like that's not the stuff that you connect with a woman. And most women, they themselves have never experienced that, because they don't know about it. Most guys don't know about it. So if you go all the way down to that level, like, women will respond to you, like model-looking women, because they're like, what the fuck is this? I haven't experienced this before, right? And a great analogy for this that I think is great is, right now, the way it looks is, imagine you take a jar, you pour water into it, and then you pour oil onto it, and then you just keep shaking it. So the oil and the water are all mixed up. It's like all messy, and that's kind of our current experience. Right? The more we try to focus on the external stuff, the appearances, the stuff on the surface, the more it's like murky and mixed up. Now, when we become still, we just put the jar down, we don't touch it. Eventually, the oil and the water are going to separate on their own. And then you see, there's the water down here. This is who we really are. That's the part that we can connect with everyone else out there. The base, the foundation. Right? Instead of the oil, that's just a layer on top, like a thin layer, and that's how we define ourselves. But we are actually with all this water underneath it. That's who we really are. And this stuff at the top is just an experience that we're moving through. It's our own conditioning, our own traumas, the stuff that we hold on to, the memories that's not integrated, all of that. And then we say, this is who we are. And we don't get, like, this is actually what we are. But we haven't even seen it because it's all so muddy and murky and mixed up.
Fuck, that's amazing. Bro, that's the real shit right there, guys. That's the real shit.